Yo, Lunatics back again. Sorry for the long wait. There's been quite big changes, news of big changes arriving at my doorstep in real life, which kind of like shocked me, but in a good way. But I was definitely shocked. So basically, I got approved. I got accepted to go to art school finally in Sweden, and I am currently based in Spain. Now I am from Sweden, but I've been living in Spain for the past 10 years, working and living here. So yeah, I got accepted to the school. I told them I want to come. So my studies will begin in the middle of August this year, more or less, which is very close by. So I'm like processing emotionally what that's gonna mean. Obviously, it's pretty obvious. I'm gonna have to move back to Sweden, do these things. Also, if you don't like videos where somebody is talking a lot, this is not the video for you. Partly because that's just not who I am, going straight to business like that. I do tend to talk a lot, and secondly, we're going to speak a little bit about what I said I was going to talk about. Now, I don't have any footage from any videos or stuff like that, so I'm just gonna take it like basic. So I'm gonna mostly speak towards people who are new to the game or like are beginner level, and want to improve, and people who are basically new to WoW, not people who have been playing it for 10 years, so that's basically it. But yeah, so emotionally I'm going through quite a lot. I have to leave everything behind here and start over not in a new country per se, but I'm gonna start a new era of my adult life in Sweden. So yeah, that's kind of a big deal, and it will also be taking up quite a lot of my time here through June and August. Right now I'm just waiting for the economic side of things to clear up, so I know exactly what to do before I jump the gun and start spending stuff with money that I don't really have. So yeah, that is why this is taking time. Also, we were progress reading, but yeah, this is my personal things is definitely taking up most of my mental and emotional energy at this point. But yes, one thing, if you are not aware, that I want to touch upon as well. Now, when this patch released and before it, all the theory crafters on the Druid Discord and everywhere, and the Sims and everything showed slimy Expulsion boots as the best option for crafted gear, right? The boots. I don't know exactly when they discovered that this was not true, but I discovered it about 2 weeks ago, and I was like, what's going on here? And then I asked in the forums, and apparently the earlier Sims for some reason did not take into account the loss of haste for some reason. That's why it was seeming higher. So yeah, a lot of druids, like we didn't really get screwed over because that was the information we had and everybody trusted the Sims, theory crafters included, and everybody did what we thought was the best. But yeah, sad news, it's not the best. Toxic Thorn foot wraps is actually a better option. Now I'm simming, if I compare, like I'm simming 2800k DPS higher with these boots than I did with the slime Expulsion boots. So yeah, keep that in mind. These are worth picking up. I know it sucks. spending an entire Shadow Flame crest and, you know, enchanted aspects crest, I mean Sparkle Shadow Flame and then aspect enchanted thingy-majingy on Slimy, and then having them not being nearly as good. I mean, I feel you guys, because I did the same thing, but yeah, switch to that. So yeah, when it comes to like basic rotation and stuff like that, I do have other videos on that in my channel. One that is more basic. I also have 1 or 2 videos from this season going through Mythic Plus, if you want to see it in action. And also in the Sarkar heroic kill video that I posted 2 weeks into the season. You can watch that there as well. There's also the advanced rotation guide where I explain a little bit more about the Starlord and Rattle buffs and what you want to prioritize. So you can check that out. But yeah, basically, like as a Moonkin, your core mechanic as a Moonkin is Eclipse, right? So if you cast 2 Wraths, you will get in, which are nature damage, you will go into the opposite Eclipse, so Lunar Eclipse. And then your arcane spells will deal more damage. And if you are not in an Eclipse and you cast 2 Starfires instead, you will go into the opposite Eclipse from the Arcane, which is Nature, so you will go into Solar Eclipse, dealing more damage with your Nature spells. That's the basic gist of it. And we also, I mean, Wrath, Starfire, that's our fillers. It is a type of spec where you build up a secondary power, so you have an astral power here. This is my weak aura, and you spend that astral power with Star Surge and Starfall. Starfall for AoE. This is again like very basic. If you want to see more advanced explanations on what to do when in certain situations, just watch my other videos. But yeah, so Star Surge is your big spender for single target damage. Starfall is your big spender for AoE. That's the basic gist of it. So you go into Eclipse by casting, if you want to go, oh yes, you want to go into Solar Eclipse on single target and Lunar Eclipse on AoE. So when there is a pack of mobs, you would cast 2 Wrath to go into your Lunar Eclipse, so that your Starfire does more damage. And if it's a single target fight, you want to cast 2 Starfires to get into your Solar Eclipse, so that your Wrath does more damage. Right. Then we have the Incarnation, which is our biggest cooldown. It gives you a window of time, 30 seconds, where you will have both Solar and Lunar Eclipse at the same time. And this is something that increases our damage quite a lot, because our spenders, Star Surge and Starfall, are what's called Astral Damage, which is Arcane and Nature damage combined. So Astral Damage always gains benefit from Solar Eclipse and Lunar Eclipse. And if you pop Incarnation so that you have both, they gain the damage bonus from both of your eclipses at the same time. That's the basic gist of it. So in your Incarnation window, in your big cooldown, your spenders will do a lot more damage. Then another very important thing, well, I would say the most important thing, is to make sure that you manage your eclipses well, right? That's just the core mechanic. But then equally important is our mastery, Astral Invocation. So it says your nature spells deal 37% additional damage to targets affected by your Sunfire. here, Sunfire, which is one of our dots, does nature damage. So if you have targets with your Sunfire on it, your nature spells are going to deal 37% additional damage to them. And the same thing with your Moonfire, which is also, that's our second dot. Every target afflicted by Moonfire will get 37% additional damage onto them from your arcane spells. And again, your Astral Damage, so your Star Surges and your Starfalls, gain this mastery bonus from both. In my case, that would be 74% additional damage. Also, keep in mind, Fury of Elune is Astral Damage, so your Fury of Elune also gains mastery bonus from both of your dots, which is why you never want to cast Fury of Elune. You basically don't want to cast anything before you have put your dots up. There are some exceptions for boss pulls or for pulls, like when something is pulled, right? Because then it makes sense to cast 2 Wrath or 2 Starfires, depending on how you want to do it and if you have your cooldowns and blah blah blah. But you can check that out in other rotation videos. That's a little bit more advanced for what I want to have done in this one. If you are running with New Moon, that's also Astral Damage. New Moon, Half Moon, Full Moon, all Astral Damage. These also gain double effect from your incarnation. Keep that in mind. And you never want to cast these if you're not in at least one Eclipse. Preferably if you have incarnation, or if you get the Arcanic Pulse or proc, because then they do even more damage. That's what you want to try to do. That again is a little bit more advanced. So first thing, get comfortable with your class, try the spells, see what works, what does, just feel it out. Does it feel good for you? How do you like the spec and all of that basic stuff? If you like it and you want to continue, you can start looking around at your tree and see, okay, this is the raid build I have here right now. But the more you get familiar and play with the spec, the more you will understand the impact of all of these different things, right? That comes with time and practice. Then as a druid, obviously you have a lot of utility. We have Ursul's Vortex, which is an area of effect that slows enemies, and when they try to leave it, they will get sucked straight back into it again one time. Very, very good crowd control. We have Typhoon, which is a pushback, also very good. Cyclone, if you want to play with that, which is the mob you use this on will be immune to absolutely everything for 6 seconds. Hibernate, which is a sleep, which is also very good in certain scenarios. Like when we had, I think it was in one of the new affixes, the white ghost things that are impossible to see in Underrot. Hibernate. It's the way to go. And we have Innervate, which is a really good cooldown to give to your healers. And we have Nature's Vigil for some off-healing potential if things get hairy. It's not as good for Moonkins as it is for Feral Druids, but it's at least something. We have an instant cast on 1.5 minute cooldown heal. It's like a health pot basically, an extra health pot. We have Incap Roar, which is an AoE stun. Really good. Well-honed instincts, also very good. When you go below 40% health, you cast Frenzied Regeneration, and Frenzied Regeneration is a healing over time. So that it procs when you get below 40% health, Now I have it on 1 point, so I can get it once every 120 seconds, but you can get it down to 90 if you want. Improved Stampeding Roar. So Stampeding Roar, well, Dash, I can't see it here. Dash is an ability you have in cat form that makes you run faster for a short period of time, kind of like the rogues have. Stampeding Roar is that ability basically, but it's an AoE, so all of your party members or raid members close to you will also get the same thing. So you can use it in bear form as well, but if you're gonna run fast and you're not in immediate danger of dying, you might as well go into cat form, since you're gonna move even faster. So increasing movement speed of all friendly players within 20 yards by 60% for 8 seconds. Pretty good for raids. We also have Soothe, so we can dispel all enrage effects. What else do we have? We have a Wild Charge. So when you are not in any form, when you're in your normal form, no cat, bear or moonkin or anything, it's kind of like a rescue, so you can click a friendly target and use your Wild Charge and you will fly to them. If you're in bear form, it becomes a charge instead, same button. Cat form is a leap, which is also kind of like a charge, I guess. But yeah, you end up behind the target. Moonkin, it's a disengage, so instead of flying towards your target, you are flying away from whatever direction you are facing. And travel form, it's a leap straight forward, so you don't need a target for that. And if you're in aquatic form, it increases your swim speed by an additional 150% for 5 seconds. Pretty good. We also have a bark skin, which is great. So your skin is, the tooltip is, your skin becomes as tough as bark, reducing all damage you take for 20%. And preventing damage from delaying your spell casts, which is also pretty good. Lasts for 12 seconds, and if you talent to improved bark skin, it increases 4 seconds extra. It also, let's see, I'm pretty sure. Yes, if you go for Verdant Heart, which I highly suggest you do, your Frenzied Regeneration and Bark Skin increase all healing received by 20%. So if you pop Bark Skin, all healing you receive is increased by 20%, and also if your Well-Honed Instincts proc at 40%, so you proc your Frenzied Regeneration, you will also get 20% increased healing. And you know, in worst case scenario, like now I don't have this one talented in my raid build, because I value movement speed more, especially in Mythic, because it's like I'm gonna die anyway, so better to move fast. But you can go Ursine Vigor, or I mean you could just go Bear in a oh shit scenario in any case, but you can also make it even better. So for 4 seconds after shifting into bear form, your health and armor are increased by 10%. You can get it up to 20%. So, you know, there's a lot of things here to work with, like Typhoon, you can use pushbacks, great for Sanguine Week and Mythic Plus. You can help your tank out when they're trying to kite mobs out of the Sanguine. You don't want to push the mobs away from the tank in the sense of like back in. It's self-explanatory, right? The best way to do it is just get to the side of the mobs when the tank is kiting them, pushing them to the side. I mean, you can work with that. It's pretty cool. Vortex, not good at all in Sanguine Week, because you don't want to suck them back into the Sanguine. But in every other scenario, pretty damn good. You know, there's tons of stuff you have here to play around with, right? And that brings me to my next point. Like, first thing is to like try to master as best as you can your rotation first of all, because you're gonna do damage. That's your main priority. Well, main priority is to survive, because if you're dead, you don't do any damage. But after that, your main job is to do damage, right? So make sure that you nail your rotation down and that you practice it and try to think about what you're doing and why. If you have spiky differences in damage during many runs, like you do tons of damage and then you do very little damage, and you have this feeling like I I don't know why, or I don't know what's going on. That just means that you don't understand exactly how to do a lot of damage you don't understand it to the point where you can do it when you can plan for it. You want to be able to plan for when your big damage is coming. And that only comes by understanding these things. But yeah, main key, dots and your eclipses. Right? But then it's like, okay, you play 5 man and you're going up to the key levels where your skill level is, whether it's like 25s or maybe it's 10, maybe it's 16 or 18, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. Where you feel, well, I mean, if you're doing 25s, this will not be an issue for you, but if you're like just going up to 10s, or I don't know, you're new to this thing, like, first of all, I know a lot of people can be like, they don't communicate in the runs unless something is going very badly, and then they're very rude or even toxic at times, and other than that they don't really communicate, and or they just run through the key with you and then they leave and they never said anything, right? So I get it, like people do that a lot these days, or people just leave, or you know, there's issues. I've been told that Blizzard is looking into it, but yeah, we will see how that goes. Because what are they gonna do about that in the end? That's the player base. The issue there is the player base. But you know, sometimes people just don't want to talk, and that's also fine. But it is a team game. Like, if you're not like ultra hardcore Giga Chad, you want solo mythics, like you want to push keys and you want to do it in a team, because that's just how you are supposed to do it, and you're not gonna make it if you don't. There are many other things in a dungeon. Oh yeah, we also have Solar Beam, by the way. It's very good. The only bad thing is the long cooldown, and it's not worth going into Light of the Sun. I can just say that straight up. It's not worth it, because you're gonna lose too much damage. But it's a great spell. Just the cooldown is a little bit too long for me, or for everyone, I guess. Yes, it would be too OP otherwise. But you know, there are kicks that need to be made on certain abilities, especially in Mythic Plus with different packs. Packs can sometimes be more deadly than the actual boss. I'm sure you have noticed that yourselves, right? So if you're a class where you have kicks, or like for us, for example, yes, we have two kicks. We have the Solar Beam, but it's 1 minute, so it's nothing you can rely on. It's very good when it's used correctly, but again, you're gonna pull faster than you get this back. But the other one is Incapacitating Roar. You could even go Mighty Bash if you want, but I see no reason to do that, for the simple reason that Mighty Bash, although it's usable, the only good thing with it is that it's usable in all shapeshift forms. So you can even use Mighty Bash in Munkin form, which is pretty good, to be honest. And it's a 10-yard range, which is also kind of nice. You don't have to be in the face of the mob. However, it is a single target stun for 4 seconds with a 1 minute cooldown. So I don't see a world where you would take that, because right next to it you have Incapacitating Roar. Oh, yes, it shifts you into bear form. But it's a 30-second cooldown, so half the time on the cooldown, and it's 15 yards, so it's bigger range, and it's not just one target. It's all of the targets. Every single mob within 15 yards get hit by this. Much better. So we have that. Solar Beam, Incap Roar. Great. If it's healing intense and the healer is spamming and you see, holy shit, they're getting out of mana or what, or if they're just spamming for some reason, they're like ultra healing and you're just barely keeping up. Innervate the healer, bam, they get 10 seconds of free spells. Great. Very good. That can be the difference between wiping and not. So do that. Also popping your defensives is very, very good. Our main defensives are Renewal and Barkskin. If you have your Warlock, you have the Healthstone of course, but Barkskin, Renewal, that's the major ones. You always want to have your health pots as well, obviously. But yeah, do what you can, and Soothe is also actually kind of good. If you're doing Brackenhide, I don't know if you knew this, but in Brackenhide Hollow, on all key levels and even in normal, there are these big gnolls that do this whirlwind thing, you know, where they completely demolish everyone in melee range. You can soothe that. So as soon as they get enraged and start doing the whirlwind thing, you can target them and press Soothe. You see the blinking thing down here? I have it here, Soothe. Boom. And the whirlwind disappears. Very useful. What else? I guess that's basically it. But the gist of it is like, if you're gonna play group content, and I'm not judging at all. Some people don't even want to do end game content, and they have a group and they go around and do their thing in a group, and that's fine because they're having fun, right? And they're enjoying the game their own way. There are people who do that and they do it solo, and they like that, and that's fine as well. And you know, people doing all of these things on different types of levels. The only difference would be like really high key levels, I guess, unless you're like ultra good and basically famous, so you get into all of the good groups. Or if you're doing like mythic raiding, then you are not gonna play this content solo. Like, no, you're gonna be in a guild and you're gonna have teams and you're gonna play with those guys, so which is also completely fine. However, if you're gonna do like Mythic Plus and group content, raiding, stuff like that, you have to stop thinking about yourself, right? Obviously, you should focus on what you are doing, right? Like, you should focus on your rotation, you should focus on not dying and all of that. Right, but there it doesn't end there. Well, obviously you need to know the tactics and all that, but you should stop thinking only about yourself and start thinking like a team. Like, you have to help your friends if you can, and if you do, they will help you too. It's a team effort, right? This is basic stuff, but I see many times it's not applied, especially in Mythic Plus when you're pugging. Like, it's a team effort. Yeah, you don't know these people and they don't know you and blah blah blah, but do you really need to know these people, and do they really need to know you for you guys to be able to spend 30 minutes together and play like a team? Seriously? I don't think so. So, you know, start being a team player. Use your skills, right? Give the healer innervate. Use your defensives. Renewal. Barkskin. Before, like, well, obviously you're not gonna use renewal before you take damage, because what's the point? because it's a heal. But bark skin, for example, like that's also a common mistake for new players, which is fine if you're a new player. If you're not a new player, there's no excuse. But using bark skin after you're already hit, I mean, it's kind of, I mean, yeah, you get this thing, you get more healing, but you would have gotten that healing if you used your bark skin before you got hit as well, and the absorb from the bark skin, because you're not like the absorb. It's a waste. Like if you're already hit, you're like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. See where the other players are, like try to position yourself better and stuff like that. This is very, very basic stuff. I do apologize that I don't have any videos and blah blah blah, but mostly it's also because I don't really felt like I wanted to spend that amount of time going into different dungeons and stuff, partly because it takes a ton of time to make a video like that. For a topic like this, I don't have the time to do that because I'm not getting paid to make these videos, and yeah, like I said, most of my energy mentally and emotionally right now is going into preparing for my move back to Sweden this year. So, you know, and I also don't want to have a video where I'm like pausing and calling people out and you can see their names and everything, because I'm definitely going to be way too lazy to censor. You can take that for granted. So yeah, this is definitely not a guide. I do apologize that it's taken me so long to even start to do any form of video about this topic, but you know, like, you have a class tree, use it. Druids have tons of stuff. Like I said, I mean, we have Solar Beam 1. We even have Remove Corruption, which is 2. I'm counting the utility, right? Hibernate 3, Cyclone 4, Typhoon 5, Ursul's Vortex or Mass Entanglement if you prefer. 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Innervate 7, Nature's Vigil 8, Barkskin 9, Stampeding Roar 10, the Incapacitating Roar 11. You see what I mean? That's utility. 12 if you count renewal. So, if you are playing Druid, I'm sorry to say it, but it's kind of expected of you. Like, if you don't care about these things, trust me, people are gonna start calling you out. And they're gonna think that you're an absolute noob. Right? And even if you do good damage, if you don't use your utility and people or your group wipes or... Oh yeah, there's another one. We have a combat rest as well. You see, the list goes on and on. But if you don't use these things, these utility things as a druid in Mythic Plus or in Raid, people are gonna think you're a noob, right? Or you're just an idiot that only can do damage and nothing else. And then hopefully your damage is so godlike that makes up for it, but I doubt it. As a druid, this is your job as well. So keep that in mind. I do want to say I am not going to do any form of like deep dive advanced like guide for any of the dungeons, not even the raid bosses, because one thing is like I don't do strategy like that. I follow the tank. Like, yes, I'm a stupid moonkin, I don't care. At least I know how to use my utilities correctly. So that's gotta be something. And I do okay damage. That's good enough for me. That's good enough for the people I play with. So that's not gonna happen. I am going to post more videos of those things, like more as just showing off, I guess. You could call it, because I like to make those videos, and I also like to watch videos like that. So that's gonna happen. But there's not gonna be any guides for any dungeon. Not any guide for any raid. I don't do that stuff. The only types of guides I do is what I'm doing here now, or rotation if it's necessary. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope you have a good one. See you next time. Adios.